Ishvaro Vriksha Shambho Mahadev Mahadev. So in the next sloka, Bhagavan says, Sayavadaditya purastaduteta paschadastameta vasunameva tavadadivatyam swarajyam paryeta. Sayavadaditya purastaduteta paschadastameta vasunameva tavadadivatyam swarajyam Paryetam. Adhipatyam Swarajyam Paryetam. Adhipatyam Swarajyam means one's own world. One's own world in the sense what it is not the Rajyam. One's own rulership, one's own sovereignty. One's own rulership, one's own sovereignty he attains. On whom? On the Devatas of the self. One who becomes like that after the realization of the truth, he becomes the Vasus. Then the one who realizes such, he attains the rulership and the sovereignty of the Vasus themselves. For how long? Sa yavat adityah purastaduteta paschadastameta vasuna eva. How long will they become the Vasus? Till the time the sun yavat adityah purastaduteta udita uteta means rising up. Udeta rising up. From the time the sun rises till sun sets, he has the rulership over the Devatas. Here, the sun rising and sun setting is totally different from what we are thinking. They are considered as the four regions. We will be coming, I think, a little later. To have just an information, so that what do you mean by this east rising of sun from the east and setting in the west? Then we will be saying that rising the sun from south and setting in the north. It's not the reality. The principle being, the four sides are governed by east is Indra, south is Yama, and then north is Varuna and the west is Soma. So this is what do they mean by east to west and south, north and all that. So long the sun rises from, that means the whole day. Sun rises from the east and sun goes down in the west. So long the sun rises in the east and sun goes down in the west, the Shakti will remain in him, or the qualities will remain in him, or he will become the ruler of that Ashtavasu in himself for that period of time. Now, is it one day? Sun rising from the east to sun rising of the set. The one who has become the Ashtavasu, so long the sun rises from the east to west, that time, or from Indra to Soma, the time that is traveling Indra to Soma. What is the time of travel from Indra to Soma? What does it mean by that? East to west or south to north? What does it mean? That means from the position of the Indra to the position of the Soma. How you gain the knowledge, everything is connected with the knowledge. Like from how you will reach from class 1 to PhD. That's the meaning of it. That's what is at east, west and south, north is mentioned, even though that significance has been given here. east, west and south, north. So long the sun rises from the east and goes in the west. That means who are in the plains, only will have the witnessing of the sun rising at the east and sunrise setting at the west. Who are in the plains, who are in the ground, who are in the plains. In the plains in the sense beginning, where the karmas are being exhausted there. Because karma bhumi is considered to be the flat, the plain, where there are no mountains, there are no skies, there are no depths, there are no patala, there is no sky. So, which is straight. There only one can witness the sun rising at the east and sun going in the west. Seeing the sun above the mountain is not seeing the sun in the east. East in the sense at the east, beginning of the east. If the earth is like this, when the sun rises, the first thing to see, the visible in the east, and the last thing that can be seen, last moment that can be seen in the west. You got it? No, that's what is called the plane. So one has to be in that level, then only one can see. If there are mountains in that, then you cannot see the east or west, whatever it is. So it's the meaning of it. That means no obstacles based on the knowledge here. The ones who are in the plains, who are in the Ashtavasus, doing the Rigveda mantra in the mornings, in the initial period of the time where the Rigveda is very important Veda. Rigveda, the biggest Veda is Rigveda, and highest principles are is in the Rigveda only. And so the one who is oblating on the Rigveda, he begins with the Karma Yoga, then he begins with he is followed by the Bhakti Marga, Jnana Marga, then ultimately reaching the Vanaprastha, then renunciation, then Vairagya, attaining the Parabrahman. So these stages. So for that he says that Yavad Aditya Purastad Udeta, Purastad Udeta, rising and rise Purastad, number of times repeatedly, Purastad Udeta, Paschat Astameta, after that sun setting. It's a meaning in that again. Purastad Udeta, Purastad, that means east from the Pura. Pura is east, Paschat, Paschima is west. Astameta. Actually the sun doesn't rise and sunset doesn't set, we all know that. It's only that our position changes. So the same thing. If one understands that, then you understand that what do you mean by the so long your position is that way, that you change, that you get the gain the knowledge in the morning, and till the evening you are the adhipati of that. That means if your position is like that you are traveling like this from here to here, so your position is like that, so from that time to this time you are the adhipati of the vasus, again considered with the jnanam, stability and the process of non-agitating status. Is that what means rising and then astamanam? Astamanam, Udayam, Astamanam is there only for the persons who are on the earth. Yes. Who is beyond the earth, the one which is not in a moving planet, for him there is no sun rising, so sun setting. So the one who is on the earthly plane, in the sense, who are entangled with the karmas, the one who are entangled with the karmas, executing karmas, exhausting karmas or repeating karmas, whatever it is, for him there is a sun rising on the east and the west is there. So a person who is executing his karmas in the right manner and has oblated all these things to that, he is the adhipati. That means he has become the Ashtavasus, and Ashtavasus, the Shakti of the Ashtavasus are from the rise to the Astamana, Udaya to the Astamana. For him, Udaya and Astamana is same. From Udaya to Astamana, he has got the control over the sovereignty. He rules over the rulership. That's why he said Swarajyam, not anybody's Rajyam. Swarajyam Pariyeda. He attains the Swarajyam. Attains the Swarajyam. Everybody has to attain the Swarajyam. Rajyam is that which is where all the incidents takes place, is the Rajyam. Yes, that's why there is a Raja and the Praja. What is that Raja and Praja? The one who guides and one who follows. It's called the Rajyam. Rajyam is that it's not the landed property, that which is Rajyam. Now so many square kilometers of cities and paddy fields and things like that. It's not Rajyam. Rajyam is that where one has to exercise his control over, to guide and lead and take them to the right path, is called the Rajyam. Where there is because there is a Rajyam, the name Raja has come. Raja is the one who is guiding that actor. Same way, the one who has attained the Adityas due to the oblation, he guides the Rajyam. Who are the Rajyam? The Antakarana, the ego center, Mana and the Indriyas. He guides them, Raja. He guides them and brings them towards him according to the discipline of the Raja. Raja is that who orders that, who brings them to that line. So for what? For the happiness of the Praja. Why Raja is ruling? Why Raja is imposing discipline? Why Raja is doing all these things? Is all for the happiness of the Praja. Is this the importance of the Raja? Raja, that's why they say Raja is the servant of the Praja. Raja is not the master of the Praja. Raja is the one who serves the Praja. Serving the Praja. For what? For the betterment of the Praja. Is it not? For them to be good, happy, living comfortably without any crime, without any difficulties, without any daridrya, dukkha and all that. Same way, the Antaratma, when he gains this Praja, I mean when the ego center attains this status by the oblation, by way of the renunciation, by way of the oblation, he guides the Mana, Antakarana and the Indriyas, Sharira, Mana, all that, everything for the purpose of the harmony with the Antaratma. So that there will be no dukkha, no kashta, no daridrya. That is why Swarajyam is it. Pariyade. He attains the Swarajyam. The one who does it. So, iti shashta khandaha samartha. The sixth portion is over. So he says that the Vasu's sovereignty will attain fully the sovereignty, rulership, sovereignty that the Vasus have. Not like the performer of mere rites who goes to the lunar region and becomes a non-independent food, object of enjoyment for the gods. The one who has oblated or did the renunciation, not just going to Swarga, not going to be the instrument or the food for the Devatas. That means it's not going as a matter that after the oblation is done, that all the Babas are finished and then goes just like that. No. Not only going that, but also he says, what then? This man acquires rulership and the state of being a sovereign. Not just mukti from the papas. What does it mean is that it is not only that by doing all these things, it is not only that you are getting the mukti from the papa karmas, but also attain the authority, a position among the Devatas. See, you will be inducted into the parliament of the Indra or Devatas. Is that sovereignty, attaining the sovereignty, and you will have a Swarajya attained, because you attained your Swarajya. Every Devata attains its own Swarajya. That's why Devata is not attracted and attached to any of the actions of those which are below that. Is Raja attracted and attached to the karmas of the Praja? No. He guides them to execute the karmas in the right manner. He is not attracted and attached. Yes. For him to guide, he should not have any attraction and attachment to the karmas of the Praja. He should be impartial. Then only he is a real Raja. He has to be impartial. To have impartiality in him, he should be much about partiality. He should be much about the desires of that having that. Who can distribute? You say that you bring the land, or there is a dispute of the land between two people. Raja is intervened there. He says, okay, what is the justice? Let me hear. Okay, this was my grandfather's, this was my grandfather's. These are the documents. Raja takes a decision. This portion belongs to you, this portion belongs to you. So, without any discrimination, without any vindictivity in that, without any going into the facts, identifying the facts, knowing the facts of that, justifying it for the benefit of the both of them, he takes a decision saying that this belongs to you and this belongs to you. In that, what is the benefit of Raja? Nothing. What he has done? He has brought peace in both of them. He has brought happiness in both of them. What is the benefit here? Nothing. Not that, oh, somebody has to, one of them has told, hey Raja, you finalize like this, I will give you some share of it. No. That's not that. He does it for the peace of. Why did he do it? Why he did it without any attachment and attraction to it? That is impartiality, without any attachment and attraction. Why did he do it? He did it because he doesn't have a desire on that small plot of land and this plot of land. Why? Because he is a Raja. The whole country is his. The whole region belongs to Raja. Why should he get attracted to this much of land and this much of land of both of them? No. So he is much above that. So the one who is above the attachment and attractions only can become the ruler and the sovereignty of it. So who becomes the Devata? The one who doesn't have any attraction to any of the emotions and attractions and attachments and desires of day-to-day activities of, or the magics or the changes of mind and indriyas. When that is there, then only the Antakarana can function as an independent ruler and sovereignty. That's why he is known as Devata. Devata doesn't have a desire. No. Devata doesn't have any attraction and attachment. He doesn't have any partiality. Is why he doesn't do anything which is not right. That which is supposed to be having your karma to be executed, he says whoever he is, he has to undergo that. Yes. Arjuna went to Indrasabha in order to learn something and attain the Vajra Ayudha from Indra. For only more than a year or so, something like that, he was there because he being the father, he was there. Even though he was there, even though he had to do his tapasya, he had to do his penance, he had to learn everything, then only that Devendra's, that Ayudha, this one was given, Indradhanush was given to him. Otherwise, it was not given. He has to perform and he has to become eligible, even though he is his son. he has to become eligible for that. Not only that, and after taking the eligibility, he did not do any favoritism on. He was eligible, then he got it, he did the tapasya, he got it, and he went along with that, and he told him that this much of time you can use it, and after that this will come back to me. If the Devata has an attraction or attachment towards any of those things that is given to Arjuna, or he has an attachment to Arjuna being the son, this would not have happened in the right manner. The powers of the reality of things will not take place. That is why any of the ayudha given to anybody, they say that, no, even Shiva Pashpadastram, Bhagavan Shiva gives. He doesn't have an attachment neither to the individual nor to the ayudha. But he knows what is the purpose that he is going to serve at one point of time. They are all instruments for that. Whatever sufferings he undergoes along with that in the period of time, he is not bothered or he is not attached with that. Only thing, the result has to come. So what happens is that, what I am trying to tell you is that an adhipati, when he becomes, after renunciation, what he becomes, after renunciation, he doesn't have any attachments, any attractions, any desires. There is no relationship. That means nothing is. What is the meaning of the relationship here in Upadishadikiri when I am speaking to you? That there are nothing called a relative term as far as in his incidents are concerned. There is nothing in him based on the relative term. Because of this is there. Because of that is there. No. As far as Devata is concerned, in Devata in us is that whatever is that, it is only his. There is no relationship. Not a relative term. Nothing is a relative term. Nothing is connected with the relative term. Is why Devatas do only action, no reaction. When there is relative term, then only the reaction takes place. It's the relationship. The meaning of relationship I have explained earlier also. It's because of the relativity. The principle of relativity has come later. The relativity related to this. Because he has born to so and so is called as a mother, and so is called as a son. It's only a relationship in the karma bhumi. When you look deep into it, like we have explained earlier also in one of the chapters, that nothing belongs to us. You are not the authority of it. You are only a part of function to the incident that has taken place, that's all. Your contribution was very, very bare minimum. Yes. Neither you are given the sharira, nor you are given the mana, nor you are given the karmas, nor you are given the atma. Everything has its own process by that. But the initiation has to be done. You had a part of it in the initial stages. So nothing. But what happened? We created a relative term to that, so the relationship has come. When that relative term is not there, the relationship is not there. As far as the Devata is concerned, nothing is related to. Why? Because there is no Sharira, Mana and the Indriyas. So, to become a Devata is that sovereignty or rulership. How can you get the rulership of Swarajya? Otherwise you get entangled in the Rajya, in the Swarajya of yours, and you do not identify where you are and what you are doing. You become a Praja of that, that's all. Because you are enjoying the Rajya. So you become the Praja. The one who is enjoying the Rajya is the Praja. The one who is enjoying the incidents and the happiness and unhappiness and Kashta Dukha is a Praja. The one who is making them overcome the incidents that is happening is a Raja. I have got Dukha, what is that? Some Praja will come to the parliament of Raja. Raja, I have got Dukha, somebody came to my house yesterday, stolen some material. Raja will employ people, find out who has stolen that, punish him, return the material back to him. Praja becomes happy. What's happening? Praja is getting entangled with all the activities. Raja is bringing happiness to Praja. Is it not? So in us, the Devatas, our mind and Indriyas and the Sharira getting entangled with all these things and goes and complains. Today I am not well. Today you make me well. See? Today I don't have money, you give me money. Today I don't have this, you give me that. Now, the Devata in you, if you are really a sannyasi, if you have really developed your caliber of becoming a Devata in you, if you have developed your the practices to have the Brahmajnanam, Brahmatattvam, Brahmasatchakaram, automatically what happens? Your Antaratma tells that, come Shanti, this is not meant for you, this is not meant for you. Renounce, renounce, renounce. That is it, so that the Brahmanandam is yours. Absolutely. Now a decision has been taken. Who is the Raja? He is the king. He is that Devata. Got it? So we should have evoked our Devata. So Swarajyam, attainment of the Swarajyam. People who have not attained the Swarajya, he is a Praja, fumbling around the Rajya, even though the Rajya is his. But he is just fumbling around the Rajya, enjoying the results of the Rajya and suffering and enjoying Kashta, Dukkha, and loss and gain, Nashta, Labha. In this process, he keeps on doing it. Once there is a Labha, another time, next time is a Nashta. When there is a Labha, there has to be Nashta. There has to be Sukha, there has to be Dukkha. So they are all relative terms, is what I am saying. They are all relative terms, they are all perception of the mind. Why? Because I am attached to the Sharira and the Mana. I am attached to the, what is that Sharira, Mana in the sense? Attached to the external world of me, not the Swarajya. I don't even recognize my Rajya. Swarajya, where should I live? I do not know. How should I behave? I do not know. I commit the same mistakes. I'm thinking that I am living in my own world. We say that he thinks that he is in his own world. His own world, as far as we in the materialism is concerned, his own world is that only for a few minutes. He will think, okay, some dream. So we normally say that he is in his own world. Because he is dreaming. And that dream, his own world is how long? So long he dreams. That's all. After the dream is over, his own world, that what you said that he is his own world, now what you have to say when he comes out of it? He is not in his own world. You have to tell that. That means most of the time you are not in his own world. You are not in your own world. Even in our own language. It's just comparing it. Be in your own world. Don't get rejected, disappointed, distracted. There is no kashta, dukkha, there is no loss and gain. Everything is a karma. In this process, yes, we are human beings, we have got mind and indriyas. We get little emotional, we get little dukkha, we little get sukha. Fine, doesn't matter. But don't get entangled with that. And then sink in that, where you have no other option except sinking, and there is no way. No. When you have, this will happen. So long the Sharira is there, Mana is there, this will happen. It is there. It's normal. But the moment it comes to, yes, olden days, that's why I told you the example. In the night, in the village, in olden days, Raja and Praja's relationship was there. In the kingdom, in the night something was stolen. Morning he goes, early morning he goes to Raja with a prayer. What happened? Yesterday night somebody took something. Don't worry, I will see that. Immediately he calls the Mantri and he says that do this. And he finds out and return that. Same way. When you have kashta, dukkha, when you are a praja, when you are entangled in it, it is supposed to happen. Immediately what you should do? Go to the Raja. Like that man went to the Raja in the morning because he cannot find out himself. who has stolen this? How to catch him? I don't have muscle power, I don't have strength, I don't have an army to catch hold of a thief. So Raja has got it same way. I do not have the power, since we being human beings, we are in the practice of Upanishads and Vedas. The Swarajya is known only by the Antaratma and the Antakarana. So when your Sharira and Mana and Indriyas are in Dukkha, Kashta, loss and gain, immediately go to Raja, Dhyanam, Upasana, Nididhyasana. The moment you go into the Upasana and the Nididhyasana, you go into the Dhyanam, you are approaching the Raja. Raja will find out whether you are lost it or not. If it is lost, you will gain it. And there will be no unhappiness as far as the gain and losses. When that is retrieved to the man, Praja is concerned, what happened? He gets it back, even though there was a loss and there was a gain. After he has got it, what happens? There is no loss and there is no gain. What he had, he got it back. So even before it was there, even though it was taken away and it was again brought back, so it was neither a loss nor a gain. Okay. So when we have Kashta, Dukkha and the loss and gain in our life, we approach our Devata through the Dhyanam, Nididhyasana and Upasana and attain that in the inner self through the blessing of the Guru and the God, which you have developed during the practices of Upanishadic way of living, Dharmic way of living. You go, and when you go there, what you have to do? Like the Praja does the Samarpanam. Hey Raja, please. Hey Raja, my material is stolen, find out. Cannot say that, no? Same way, when we have Kashta, Dukkha, I'm just telling you these examples because this only will understand, otherwise you won't understand. Difficult. Is it right? When we have Kashta, Dukkha, Samarpana Bhavam. What is that? Hey Raja, please. Samarpana Bhava, I am surrendering to you. What is the Samarpanam? I myself, I am Samarpana to you. Please help me. Samarpana Bhava has to be there, and do the Samarpana to the Guru and the God and attain the status of the Upasana and Nididhyasana. Nothing other than you is true. What is the Praja saying? Hey Raja, there is who else bigger than you for me? In our country, in our village, in our town, or in our country? You are the Raja, you are the Pita, you are the Mata, you are Pita, you are Raja, you are God for us. There is no one else who can do justice for us. So to the Raja, that's how the Praja goes there. Is it not? Same way. What is that? Samarpanam. Aham samarpayam. Totally samarpanam. You surrender to you. Whatever is justice, whatever you say is the rule. That's all. If you give me back the material I lost, I am happy. If you say no, it is not that you don't belong to it, then also I have to be happy. Why? Because I am the Praja. You only know what is the truth. You only know what is right. So I depend on you totally. What does it mean? Samarpana. Here in our Upanishadic language, we put that immediately when we have Kashta, Dukkha, when we have loss and gain. Do the Nididhyasana, Upasana, Samarpana Bhava. Immediately Samarpana to the Guru and God. Make me realize, make me come out of that relative terms here. Make me come out of this relationship with those loss and gain, and then good and bad, right and wrong, and Kashta, Dukkha. Those terms, please, deshackle me from those relative terms. Deshackle me from those relations. These are called relations. From this only the other relations have come. From Kashta, Dukkha, from Labha, Nashta only. The other relations, like not first relations are son, wife, husband, father, mother. No. The first relations are who? The first relations are Labha and Nashta. The first relations, they are first, then they are the others are second cousins. The first cousins are this. Labha, Nashta. Is it not? Yes, I will prove it. Dukkha, sukha for me. Whatever is sukha for me, only I will attain that. So from wanting to have sukha, so I got this. Wanting to have dukkha, so I have got this. Wanting to have labha, so I got this. A television serial that Amir Khan was showing, a very wonderful one last week, about having the male child and female child. Why this problem? I'm not supporting or it's okay. It's a good thing that what you showed. Last episode was something else about the child abuses. What is that? Why the I mean, in many of the parts of country, our country, we have preference for male child. Even it is considered to be, if a male child is not there in a house, it is considered to be inauspicious also. You all know it very well. Why this has happened? Now you tell me, where is your relationship? Where is your relationship? Is what I said, second cousin. Is it not? If it is a child, whether it is girl or boy, you should have accepted it. So child should be to your labha and nashta. Now you tell me whether it is a second cousin or not. Is it a relative term or not? So who are the first relations? The first relations of the human being is that labha, nashta, dukkha, sukha, and right and wrong and things like that. To him, what it appears to be that only he accepts. Even though there is no Veda, no Shastra has told that this is. I told you in our Acharam, very specifically, I want you all to follow it and understand it. See. In Acharam, I specifically mentioned about that. Not according to me only, it's not my only idea. Maharishis and Tapasvis have told. I have only learned it from that. And I spoke that, that's all. Even though that is also my opinion, no doubt about it. Why? Because not opinion, I firmly believe that also. Here in Acharam, if I remember, I have told that very specifically, that the one who doesn't have, they say that, Putraha, that's all he said. Who will do the last rites? I said in Acharam, the last rites, who is supposed to do? He said, Putra. Pum trayate iti putraha. That's all. There is no the pullinga or strilinga in that. You know, there is no feminine gender and masculine gender given when Maharishi has written putraha, devata. They said there is no gender in that. You know, devata means what? Is it Stri or Purusha? No. Indra is a devata. Devi Saraswati is also devata. Is it not? Putra, pum trayate iti putra, that's all. So in Acharam, if I remember correct, or if you go back, you will see that, you will find out that if a person dies, even the last rites can be done by the daughter because she is putra. Pum trayate iti. For that, a son is not required. Son is not necessary, but I know. But in this part of, northern part of country, many people say that, no, some people who are rich and who have got everything and things like that, say that, who will do my last rites? There is no son in the house. Is what his dukkha is. Instead of living properly, dharmically in the right way, he is worried after his prana is gone, dead body nobody recognizes, he himself doesn't recognize. Who will burn that is his worry. Now tell me, is there any koi aadhar hai isme? That fellow may not burn it also, see. He'll say, anyway, this fellow is dead. Throw him in the water, that's all. What will happen? Nothing. Okay. What your karma is your karma. That's all. But his worry is what? Who will burn me after that? Putra. Not necessary. Okay, there has certain formalities have to be done. We have got Shastras there. So there are certain basics we have to do. Why? Because that reason also I have told you in the Acharam very clearly. So we don't have to get bogged down with such things where this leads to Labha Nashta. Now what is, now why did I tell that? No, don't take it otherwise. Why did I tell this is that, not that you should not have a son, it's okay, fine. Don't have a son to burn you after your death. That is your labha. You see, you are looking for, because I have to be burned at the death of time, so I must have a son. Not because he wants to have a son. You got my, I mean, am I right? Logically speaking, is it not? Whenever you ask, oh, वंश कौन बढ़ाएगा? तुम्हारा वंश बढ़, तुम कौन है वंश? महर्षि वशिष्ठ है? Your वंश should be followed? You are Vishwamitra? Or you are Vasishtha? You are so and so that your vamsha should be. We can understand that if Saptarishi is told that my vamsha has to be, what are we? How much have you done? What is your, you could not even attain the knowledge of the Upanishad. Brahma Sakshatkaram, you walk on the path of the spirituality at least, so that you have got the, and then you got right to say that yes, my Vamsha has to be. Vamsham means what? Vamsha is not increasing the number of persons in generation. Vamshaha is that transmitting the knowledge that I have. Vamsham is what? The transmitting the knowledge, that jnanam that I have, because in this Upanishad also it comes. Here Chandogya Upanishad says that, at one point of time, this knowledge of the Brahma Jnanam has to be told by gurus, has to be told only to the eligible, the eldest son, the who is eldest son to him, who is eligible to, not that anybody, because as we said Shastras, you see, from Brahma to Surya, Surya to Ichhavaku to so and so. The Manu to follows. Manuputras, then Aruni, Yapalaka, Aruni and things like that, it comes. It has been told by them to so and so. What is that? Vamsham, is that what? That the jnanam from there has to be transmitted to those who are really eligible for that. If the son is not eligible for attainment of the Brahma Sakshatkaram or Brahma Jnanam, he should not be told by the father to that. So he will be denied the opportunity of the knowledge. Yes. Bhagavan Shiv, when Mata Parvati, I always tell this example in Amarnath, when Bhagavan said that, okay, I will tell you, I will give you the Brahmajnanam Guru Diksha and Brahmajnanam importance of the Guru and things like. When Brahmajnanam was given, she was not eligible, she slept. But the Maharshi who had a curse and who was a bird has listened to the whole episode of the Brahma Sakshatkaram, he gained the Brahma Sakshatkaram. Specifically says, Upanishad specifically says the Brahmajnanam in all complete. That's why everything is Gopyam and Guptam. Secret. That's why they say that secret of the Brahman. There is secrecy in this. We are also not done completely. 100% has not been done. Only few percentage has been done. Tapasya has to be done. Based on this, tapasya has to be done. Practicing has to be done. Then have to be shown how it is to be done. Then only that these things come. But at least initial part of it, that this has to be understood first. So here he says that it has to be to the putra or to the one who is a disciple, who is totally dedicated to become the Brahma Sakshatkaram. That's how Shiva has given to. Do you think that Bhagavan Shiva when he is talking, he doesn't know that this Maharishi in disguise or in by curse, he is sitting as a bird when the whole world has been brought into silence. Do you think that Bhagavan Shiva doesn't know that he is listening? Can we believe it? Should we believe it? No. A man who gives the Brahmajnanam, he doesn't know the bird is listening. No, it's not that. Even though it has been told that the bird was hiding there and sitting and doing because after every sentence he told that, no, you should say this so that I know you're not sleeping. So the bird repeated that. Do you think that he doesn't know that the bird is the one who is telling? Or do you think that Bhagavan Shiva doesn't know that Maharishi is the one who is telling? Should we believe it? No. He knows. So whoever is eligible only should be given. It was not that, oh, Mata, please wake up. Why did you sleep? I'll tell you again. No. That has not happened. Not happened. He continued, that's all. So Jnanam can be transmitted from there to here is called Vamshavardhanam. Having 10 children, can I call it as my Vamshavardhanam? No. That is not Vamshavardhanam. Purpose of Vamshavardhanam is that Maharishis, Tapasvis got married. Treta Yuga, Dwapara and all that. Tapasvis had the life of the normal life because they were eligible to have the life like that, lead the life. Why? Because they knew why this is required. Yes. And they only have got the Vamsham has been increased by them by that. And now, after the middle of Dwapara Yuga and all that, things have gone gradually, naturally. That's the nature. Went off. But what I am trying to tell you here is that Vamshavardhana means like the knowledge being transmitted from Brahma to Manu, Manu to the Surya, Surya to Surya, Brahma to Surya, Surya to Manu, Manu to the Ikshavaku, Ikshavaku to like this. This is called the Vamshavardhana. For the transmission of the Jnanam. If Dasharatha is there, Dasharatha was worried, how will I Vamsha improve? Very genuine. Why? Because Dasharatha was a very nice person, very good person. He has ruled the country and there was happiness. Ramarajya, even Ramarajya was there. So he wanted to have a descendant, he wanted to have a Vamsham who will rule better than him or as good as him or better than him. So he wanted to have the Vamsham. There the Vamsha is that again the knowledge has been brought back here. Knowledge has been transmitted here. This is called Vamsham. Vamsha is not in numbers, just having it, of course it was considered to be like it is also numbers. Without number the quality cannot come. So what happened? Only the quality has been considerably, quietly, comfortably forgotten. Only numbers have been retained because that was only what possible by the human being. But Vamshavardhanam in the sense, the true sense that my quality of my family, suppose it is the Rishi family, the family of the knowledge, family of the Jnanam. This Jnanam should not be lost. Yes. That's why many of the Granthas were lost. Many of the knowledge was lost in us because there was no proper person to take over after that. Is how Adi Shankara has to appear. Bhagavan has to appear in the form of Adi Shankara, assemble the Vedas, bring down all the old documents and put it back and all that. This has to be done. Why? Because there was no true Vamshavardhana was not there. Even though there were Tapasvis who went into Brahmajnanam Tapasya, they did not did any Vamshavardhanam. Some of them they did Vamshavardhanam, but it was incomplete. The values were lost. So people like Adi Shankara had to be appeared and then again regain that. You understood what is the meaning? Otherwise, was there no people there? Yes. Even when Adi Shankara was born, for all the people there were sons and daughters and the Vamshavardhanam was there. What has happened? The true Vamshavardhana did not take place. Is why Adi Shankara had to be born at that time. Bhagavan has to appear in the form of Adi Shankara. Then he assembled it and put forward and then said that, look, you all should do this. And here also Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad also says that this jnanam has to be secretly told, secretly educated, secretly inducted to that upasak, to that nididhyasak, who is absolutely firm in his path without any deviation, has total surrender to the Guru, who is guiding him. Without that, it is impossible to make him reach the Parabrahma Jnanam, Parabrahma Tattvam and Parabrahma Sakshatkaram has been vehemently told, imposed, not a request or it's not a suggestion, it is a rule, as a rule has been told. It's called Vamshavardhanam. So Vamshavardhanam is not just to have son and to have this. Vamshavardhanam can be through daughter also. It's Putra. Yes. Daughter's son is also a grandson. Son's son is also a grandson, even in English. Pautra. What is Sanskrit word? Pautra. What is daughter's son's? Is also Pautra.
Different, what is that?
Is Pautra. In Sanskrit, everything is Pautra. Other languages have told it afterwards, but in our language we have both. I mean, in southern language you will find, because that is more affiliated to Sanskrit, you will find almost, even Hindi is mostly also Sanskrit only, nothing other than that. Most of them who are following the main things follow that in the language is a grandchild only. We don't deviate, there is no different name for son and daughter's son. Both are grandson. But in Hindi, what is there? What is the difference?
Pota and Dohita. Dohita. Pota is son, and daughter's son is Dohita.
Dohita.
Dohitra, it comes from,
Say Nati.
Nati. Bengali में Nati.
So, anyway, that has come later on. It's okay. Even for grandfather, grandmother, different names have been put. Dada and Nana and Dadi, Nani has been put. They are all conveniently described. But when you go back into the original, real, when the language, even the language, when you go into the origin, you won't find this. There won't be difference. So whatever it is said, in Sanskrit, as far as I know, I don't know whether there is another word, at least I have not learned it. Quite possible there is another word, I have to check the dictionary whether there is another word for that. As far as when I have learned little bit of Sanskrit, but from that I do not know, I have not learned. Pautra is Pautra. Putra, Pautra. See why I say there is no word, no relation. See, you understand one thing. When I said daughter and son both are Putra, how can there be two different names for the Pautra? Am I right? Got it? Putraha is Pum Trayate iti Putraha. Putri has been inducted later. Putri or Pautri. They have inducted later. There is no. The truth is that, like we say God, Bhagwan. Bhagwan is Bhagwan, Ishvara. And people have made it for their convenience, they made it Devi, Devata. There is no name, there is no true original word, there is nothing called Devi. Devata, that's all. It's only there. Putra is that Pum Trayate iti Putra, there is no other word. The one Pum Trayate iti Putra, the one who is for the father or the mother, whoever has been born, is Putra. Is the truth. So the last rites or the first rites or any rites during the life can be done even by the one who is born to him. That's what is Putra. The one who is taking over from the father. Because what happened in our practice, this has become a practice actually. Many things are, as we say, rituals. Samskara. Samskara is like that. Putra is given, somewhere Putra is given more importance. Somewhere Putri is given more importance. There are various practices. Putri is given more importance. Or property. They are all connected again, as I told you, second cousins. All what is that? Everything related to benefits. My property should not go outside somewhere else in Kerala as well as in Shillong, Meghalaya, Shillong. There used to be, I think still practices are there. Matriarchal system involved. Basically because the family property should not go out. It should remain, daughter stays at home. The husband comes there and stays there. Because that property should not go. Safety for the girl. Here today what happens is outside is that the girl is unsafe in the, it goes to another house. So easily what happens, the girl becomes unsafe. In matriarchal system, the best part for the girls is that she is always safe. Why? Because connected with the family. So whatever properties are there in the family, she is a shareholder of that. Children are there, they grew up there only. They also get a share of it. So these are come. So anyway, I don't want to go into those discussions because that's a huge part of it again. They are all rituals created by, why did I discuss? There is a purpose behind it. They are all created by the human being. They are all created by the Jivatmas only for the purpose of relative term is what I want to tell. They are all based on Labha and Nashta, whether it is matriarchal system or patriarchal system, what you call, they are all based on absolutely selfish interest, to take care of selfish interests, nothing other than that. They are all relative terms. Nothing other than that. When you consider that. So, that is what is called the relationship. So, when we have these relationships like Kashta, Dukkha, and good and bad, right and wrong, and then they benefit Kashta, Labha and Nashta, from those relationships only, the other relationship, basic relationship is that this one. So, when we do prayers, when we do tapasya, when we do upasana, when we do nididhyasana, what happens? Hey Bhagavan, hey Devata, in me, we go and pray that save me from these relationships. It's called releasing of the attachment and attraction and the desires. When this is not there, neither we have attachment attraction, nor we have desires. When I have labha, nashta, dukkha and sukha, then only I have desire, I have attachment and I have attraction. When that is not there, none of them are there. They become impartial. The total impartiality has to come. The greed comes. No. Kings, Chakravartis, they kept on fighting wars, accumulating land. That's all. That's why Dr. Alexander was asked by Maharshi in India when he came here. First time when he landed in India, his mother told that go and see some sannyasi in India. India is famous for that. He came and told sannyasi. He asked him, oh, who are you? I am Alexander the Great. What is the greatness in you? I have conquered so many countries within so many years with my power. My Maharshi, little man sitting under the tree very quietly said, how many acres of land you have taken? Could you conquer one mind of them who had been living in that land. Could you conquer? Forget about them whom you have conquered. Forget about the lands you have conquered. Forget about the people whom you have conquered. Could you conquer your mind? If you could not conquer your mind, neither you are a conqueror nor you are great. The day you are able to conquer your mind, you come and tell me, you are Alexander the Great. Please move away from my path because you are obstructing my sun rays falling on me in the morning. Your horse is hiding my way. Take that horse away and you also get lost, he said. This is what Maharishi said. I have read it somewhere, that's why I told you. He said this, no. Alexander understood the truth. He said, absolutely right, I am not a conqueror. Who is a conqueror? Not the Rajya outside, the Rajya inside. Rajya, Swarajya. So where you have Kashta, Dukkha, where you have relative term, this is very important to understand. All the problems have started because of our relationship with Labha, Nashta, Kashta, Dukkha. I pray, renounce this with the Samarpana Bhava, absolute Samarpana of the self to the Guru and the God, and go into the Upasana and Nididhyasana. Renounce it. This is called the absolute renunciation, and you will find there are no problems. Other relationships are only interlinked with this. We always think that is our close relationship, the other is a distant relationship. Everything else is distant relationship. Labha Nashta is my close relationship. What is my benefit in it, you tell me, he will say. Is it not? When something is being discussed, what is my benefit in me? If that is nothing, no, I am not concerned with it because I have neither to na lena na dena. Proverb भी ऐसा है, ना लेना ना देना, उसमें क्यों फंसे? See, लेना देना होने से भी फंसेंगे हम. Is the word. So everything is relative term. So let us not go into those things. Please go into the acharam, which I have told, where we understand the relationships. Now the relationships have to be have been specifically told here in order to you to understand the Swarajyam and also the Raja of the Swarajyam. You have to recognize Swarajyam. That's you are the ruler of the Swarajya, and the sovereignty of the Swarajyam is yours. This if you do not understand, neither materialism nor spiritualism, whichever way you are living, you cannot live peacefully. In both ways, it has to be necessary. That what is, we always say that what is necessary for us is given by the God, and it will be given by our jumping on that, by our doing it. So we are supported a samay, time, the right time. Olden days, nowadays things have improved. Olden days there used to be a trunk booking system. So in the telephone booths, trunk, they would dial the trunk calls, line doesn't get connected, people get fed up. So these public booth fellows have lot of great loss on that. You know why? You know, people get angry, very short-tempered fellows are there. When they don't get the line, when it's very urgent, they bang the phone. So he has, and the receiver is broken. That fellow goes, he'll give only how much, 1 rupee. The receiver costs, the telephone costs more than that. So this fellow has to keep 1 set or 2 sets always spare. So this man has got an idea now what to do. From next time onwards, when he replays the instrument, he put a big, so that one cannot miss it in all the languages, he put it. Is it? When the line becomes, connected, it will be through and it will start ringing. please do not bang the telephone or something like that. समय आने पर something like that. समय आने पर सर समय आने पर आपका टेलीफोन कनेक्शन हो जाएगा. Something like that is written. So don't unnecessarily bang the telephone. When the time comes, when the time is right, when time is synchronized, the phone will get connected. Same way, in our life also it is like that. We beat around the bush and tired and thirsty in the summer. Come and lie down, nothing has happened. What happened? Morning till evening, nothing has happened. Suddenly evening, suddenly you find that. Acha, oh, you were, I think whole day you were looking for this. Either one small boy will bring it and give it to you. Whole day, nothing happened. Samaya Nepal. But doesn't mean that you have to sit tight and then Samaya Nepal sab theek hoga. Don't roll your thumbs and sit like that. You have to work, you have to do your karma, but don't get what I say that don't get entangled and get bogged down with that. Yes, we don't know. So we have to work. We do it. We do our part of the job and give it. I always said that when we said that result-oriented and things like that. You do your karma and leave it. Rest is his job that has to be done. We should be, many people come and tell me that. Today also somebody came and said that one young lady, she has a son, 2-year-old son. So she came and said that, look, I would like very much that my in-laws, that parents, they stay with us. They're still living separate, you see, because that will be a great help for us. Plus, it will be family. She's one who would like to live with the parents and all that. Not like many of them would like to stay alone, but there are still people who are liking the family and all that. She says, I really like because I miss my parents, so at least his parents are there, means I'll be really happy. Now I can be with them, whatever it is, I will have. But they have difference of opinion due to some other reason, whatever reason is made. So what to do, she was asking me. I told, look, there are hundreds of difference of opinion, there are hundreds of things I can tell you, what to do, what not to do, what to tell. There will be lies. We will have to please them and things like that. Is not right, because at one point of time we will get fed up. How many days you will tell lie? How many days you will praise somebody? If really praisable, one praises. But if fictitiously, if one says, oh, you are so and so, you are so and so, kitna din bolega? One day you will say that you are nothing. Or these days what I told is lie. One day it will come out. So the whole thing will be broken. So we cannot tell lie and survive. You see, that's not possible. I mean, what I mean to say that not to please somebody and get living, it's not possible. So I told her that, look, somehow or other, whatever, maybe you have told me that these things are there, but somehow or other there is a misunderstanding and they do not want to come to me. Fine. You and your husband, what you do your karma properly. Living in the same city. You do your karmas properly. What do you mean by that? During the festivals, during the days of good days, his birthday, child's birthday, his husband's birthday, your birthday, or puja, or Diwali, or this. No, we have got 365 days, we have got something or other. That one good thing is there. So on that pretext, take the child and go there. Pay respects. Don't have to give anything, don't have to take anything, don't have to go into the house also. Stand there and say, we want to see mother and father, we want to take their blessing. Because today is my grandchild's, son's birthday. Do your karma, as far as you are concerned, sincerely and not to show again, not that pretext, no. Not pretending or give them importance, undue importance, nothing like that. Just do it, your karma, honestly. You see, within 2 visits or 3 visits, things will be sorted out. and it will happen. The basic principle in life, I always tell them, when I have respect to others, you don't have to show or tell words or do anything, automatically the respect will come to you. I have told this in a different way. I remember this, number of times I have told this. When we go out, we always see the dogs on the street. The first reaction is that how to look for a stone. The people, morning walkers, I have seen that, they always carry one baton with them. These brigadiers, it's only for dog biting. Why the brigadiers carry this baton, only to beat the dogs? It's early morning walk. Sorry, it's a joke. I can see some of them, they always carry a baton, and some of the police officials also, I can see that. They always carry a baton with is it not one short one with that silver at the head and all that? I see many of them, I think they are all retired, some of the army officers or police officials maybe. So they have a habit, they without them they are very uncomfortable. So I can see them, they all, what do they do with it, I don't know. I only presumed that they only do. No, the purpose is different. Subject, what I wanted to talk to you is totally different, not the baton. I mean, the purpose is that when you have fear in your mind, he will immediately bite. I mean, will bark at you, bite at you. You stand there and look at him with a lot of love and affection, without any fear, with a lot of love and affection. Have in the mind that, after all, poor animal, why is it barking? You will see that it will immediately stop. I can show you that you come with me. I have done it number of times. I do it even today also. Whenever I go in this corner, that one milk wali comes there. About 6:30, they bring that packet milk to sell that. They morning only they sit for half an hour, so they sold it off and then they pack off them. So what happens from these packets? The milk will leak. So to drink that, there are 2 dogs there. Always there. It's only to drink that milk. Any vehicle comes there or anybody walking across, they think they come to take this milk. This is their fear actually. So they bark at you. Whenever I go there, I stop there. I tell in Malayalam, as if the dog knows Malayalam. In my language I said, why are you unnecessarily barking and wasting your energy? I am not going to be scared. Don't waste your energy. Go. It will immediately go back. See, that's all. You won't believe that. You come and I'll show you that. What happened? Now, this is small, even though jokingly said, there's a great principle behind it. When I transfer my energy of respect to others, I receive the same, because that gets reflected to you. When I have showed, even though externally we may be smiling and things like that, but internally if we have hatred and then doing that, you will invariably find out that the other person will immediately get it. I mean, he will react to that only. Because when you are giving that, he will react to only that. When you have this, why the child loves you and smiles at you? Whenever a small child comes, anybody with, in the mind, oh, so innocent, small baby, how beautiful it is. No, we don't have any hatred to that. So we immediately carry, what happens? The baby immediately smiles. The reaction, you see, what you give, you get back. It's a great principle, and then that only you will get. Then you don't have to scold, you don't have to shout, you don't have to, do anything for that. You just do this. The great practice. Why Maharishis and Yogis are respected? Anybody goes nearby, even though he says that, hey, I don't believe in yogi and all that. The moment he, he will tell that in the far away. The moment he comes and goes nearby, automatically his hands will go like this. Automatically his eyes will close, start listening to you. There was a movie I used to see in our language, one movie was there, where a small boy was taken as a descendant of a great sannyasi who was almost dying, and he wanted to have a descendant for his ashram. And he saw, according to for him, tapasya, he got information, this boy is supposed to be the one. So this boy, the whole movie is based on the boy becoming that sannyasi and how it is. He was the only son in the house. Only son. Grandfather, father, mother, grandmother, and then the son. One uncle who is working in Bombay. That's what it shows. So, big problem now. Some great Swamiji told that this child is my descendant. Now it is up to you whether you want to send him or not. Swamiji went, that's all. One word. And he went. Now it's a big problem there now, whether to send or not. Mother is crying, grandmother crying, grandfather says, it's an honor of our family, we have to send. And father saying what to do, father says like this, wife says like this, father in between. Ultimately decided, uncle is a little strong and he is an educated man and all that, so call him from Bombay. So uncle comes, he smokes and all that. So for a father was little pious and things like that, so he cannot talk to Swamiji directly like that. No, I cannot send the son. So he wanted the uncle to tell the Swamiji that we will not send the son. Simple, I will come and tell him. Come on. So he goes with the father and uncle, both goes to Swamiji. Swamiji, old puny little man, sitting there quietly. So on the way he is telling, these Swamis are all rogues. If I get him in my hand, I think I will tie him in the next lamppost and beat him when he's asking. Like that, and he was, with anger and all, smoking and discussing with the father and going there. As soon as he goes there, gate of the ashram, he throws his cigarette first thing. Got inside. Somebody went and told Swamiji that somebody has come to see you. So Swami came, said, please sit down. The moment he sat down, Swami said, call the assistant, another disciple, go and get one packet of cigarette. Swami, because he smokes, no? You smoke, no? Yes. Go and get one pack of cigarette. So he goes and gets a pack of cigarette, he takes the cigarette and gives it. You are at liberty to smoke even in presence of me, but I don't like it because here nobody smokes. If it is a must you can smoke, I don't mind. Otherwise you can smoke little away, go on. But have it with me. It's my courtesy. Then old man is saying, Swamiji is telling him, people like us, we are all old and useless, all rogues, old. He heard everything what he has to. Rogues. And by the way, you are a very strong man. Do you want to tie me in the nearest lamppost and beat me? This fellow started sweating, How does he know all this? He says that, he did not know why you have come, what you have come, everything is forgotten. Now these two sentences, cigarette has been given, said that, do you want to beat me? Please go ahead. Because anyway I am an old man, I have to die any day. If this is the way I have to die, I have no objection. At least let your wishes be fulfilled. We Swamijis are meant for making the others' lives fulfilled. That's all. So you can tie me. And then he started laughing. What to tell that the purpose for which they have come, they could not present it to him. Then at last they gave him tea and banana and all that. Okay, if you are not able to talk to he himself told that if you are unable to talk today, come day after tomorrow again, we will discuss. When he went out, the uncle was telling, this old man is not an ordinary person. He knows everything. I will not come from next time. Is what he has told. This is what happens. What I am trying to tell you is that I suddenly remember, because I like this movie very much. It was connected with sannyasa and spiritualism and all that. What I am trying to tell you that in his mind there was a lot of feeling. He could not tell him that. He can't simply say that he is my nephew, I will not send him. He could not tell in his presence, looking at his face. Why? Because he was emitting that love and affection, necessity of the universe, not for his personal benefit that he wants the boy to be sannyasi. It's for the benefit of the humanity, that there has to be somebody who has to guide the human being in the right path. After my life, somebody has to be there. Is the purpose with which he has been asking. So when he projects this, automatically he gets this. How the love is developed. His projection of that love from inside only, the other person automatically feels the love. Then only it's projected. Not that, telling that nowadays buy a card and send it, and an e-card and send it. Nothing will happen, no? That's all. Same card will come back also, no doubt. This is a fictitious card, another fictitious card will come. And in that, nowadays another thing is there, they can put smileys on that. Because personally I cannot smile, so I will put a representative of mine, a comic figure of smiley, that you should think that I am smiling. Well, I am just joking on this. Well, everything is connected to again subject, well, jokingly said. The truth from inside. Swarajyam again. I am again connected with the Swarajyam. If you want to be the Adhipati of the Swarajyam, if you want to be the emperor of the Swarajyam, if you want to be the sovereign of the Swarajya, if you want to be the ruler of the Swarajya, the Raja has to be sincere to the Praja. The Antaratma has to be sincere to the mind and the Indriyas. Same way, for whom, how the Indriyas should behave, they have to surrender themselves honestly, without renunciation, do Upasana and Nidhityasana with absolute Samarpana Bhava, and automatically that Raja, who is the realizer, recognizer, the Adhipati of the Ashtavasus, will automatically extend that Daya and Karunya towards them. It's a basic principle. I think even scientifically, psychologists, psychiatrists, everybody talks the same language. That what is it? That's how the Maharishis, that's how I started with all them. The Maharishis and Tapasvis who have nothing and sitting there, everybody respects him. Everybody honors him. Why? Because his jnanam, his projection is only absolute jnanam. Absolute jnanam. The absolute jnanam is love. Absolute jnanam is bhakti. Absolute jnanam is everything. So that he constantly projects, whoever it is, whether he is a dacoit, whether he is so and so. Some people say, no, oh, Man Singh, I used to hear, I never seen Man Singh. We used to hear Man Singh used to go and pray to Kali temple before he goes for any dacoity and things like that. Why God bless him? That was a big question. If God is this, why God has to bless Man Singh? You should remember one thing. God is not blessing Man Singh for the success of his dacoity. You should remember that. His profession is dacoity, that is a different thing. But Man Singh is a Bhakt. And as a Bhakt, Ma will definitely bless him. Like Bhagavan Shiva says, if he is a Bhakt, I will give him boon, no doubt. What he does after that with that is his own karma, and that will kill him. And that is what has happened to Man Singh also. He does his karma, that is according to his choice. I have not told him to do that karma. I bless him because he is a good Bhakt. If he is a true Bhakt, I will bless him. But we have connected both together. He goes and prays and then goes to the dacoity and he becomes successful in dacoity. So we say that God has given blessings to be successful in dacoity. No, it's not that. He has a blessing of the Lord, no doubt. Because he's a great Bhakt. That is there. The other one is his profession and he has to suffer for that, like Ratnakar. he has to suffer for that. Or he has to undergo that preparation. Now, I had been talking a little too much on this elaborative subject of the Swarajya. Is why? Because this is absolutely necessary to understand. Is why so many examples have been given. Adhipati of the Rajyam has to be only this. That surrender. These are the two main things. One is that to identify the Swarajya in you, identify the Adhipati in you, the Devata in yourself. And when you have Kashta, Dukkha and Labha, Nashta, you have to surrender yourself and pray to the Devata in you. And that surrender, and due to the absolute surrender and Samarpana Bhava to the Guru and the God, and do this Upasana and Nididhyasana, you attain the freedom, liberation from the relationships which are Kashta, Dukkha, Labha and Nashta. And automatically the desires and attractions and attachment you get relieved of, and you get the true Jnanam inside you, which is known as the Jnanam towards the Parabrahma Sakshakaram, is the gist of it. Alright? This is how this has to be followed. Am I clear? So is why with so many examples, so many elaborations, so many descriptions, they set in our mind so that it is easier to perceive it in the right way. So it's not understanding it, it has to be perceived, it has to be absorbed. It cannot be by-hearted. It cannot be learned. No. It has to be absorbed like that. It should be in your system all over, that's all. Just as if the foam soaking the water, I said. So that the water is not visible, but the foam is visible. Same way, you are visible, but the jnanam is filled in you. That's how the perception has to be taken place. This is how you should perceive it. Is what is called the Swarajyam Viparyeda. Right? That rulership of the state of being the sovereign. That's Samarpanam. So again coming back to Nididhyasana. Now comes the 7th section. Saptama Khanda. 3rd chapter, 371. I think we will carry on the next. Om Shanti.